is the pause method, your tool for empowered and aligned business growth decisions. If you are here, you are already an established entrepreneur. You are working to take your business to the next level. And because it's November, so many of us are making decisions. We are planning, we are making decisions to see what should we do next? What do we want to do to make 2026 our best year yet? So today's conversation is with Karen Bartholomew, who is a client of Interview Connections. She has this powerful method called the pause method that will help you. It's a mouthful that will help you leverage stillness to seek the clarity you need to make aligned business growth decisions. I am Jessica Rhodes. I am the founder of Interview Connections. We are the first ever podcast booking agency. I know we've got some of our clients here, some folks that I've had calls with before. So we book entrepreneurs on podcasts. That's what we do. And I'm excited to introduce our expert, Karen Bartholomew. Karen, take it away.
Oh, well, thanks for having me. I'm so excited. And hello, everybody who's here, and welcome. And so basically, yes, I created the pause method because what I went on this personal journey of what I wanted to create in my life and redesign from a career standpoint, family standpoint, friends, self-care, and the whole enchilada. I realized what I was doing was I actually could put that method in a formula to help other people. And it's been a great 2 year journey, and I'm so excited. I actually come from the mortgage industry. However, I've been doing personal development coaching and sales coaching for about 15 years. And so I just wanted to like level it up. And so overall, I help people really take a pause in their life to redesign their entire next chapter, whether that's career, self development, removing constraints to their past that keep them stuck. But I know I wanted to start with just letting you know, a mentor once told me that I was broken and that I needed to be fixed. I need to fix myself before I could be really successful. But what I realized over time, right, is that I'm not broken, and neither are you. What we often mistake as brokenness is really just disconnection from our why and our who and how we're going to do things. And so we get so busy doing everything that we actually just stop redesigning because we're on this hamstering wheel from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. at night, just go, 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 go. And a lot of it's just performing, right? And never really taking a pause to go, what do I really want to design, and what do I really want in my career, in my family, in my love life, whatever it is for you. And so today, I just wanted to invite everybody to actually take a pause and look at what you want 2026 to look like, not from a checklist or a spreadsheet standpoint, but from a place of alignment and truth. Because success is not built on misalignments. It always costs more. There's so much cost to it when you're not aligned with yourself and coming from a calm standpoint. So the question I would ask you is that when was the last time you paused to ask yourself, is this the life I'm building? Is the life I'm building still the one that I want for 2026? Okay, so that's where I wanted to start out with that question and then give it back to Jessica just to have you start thinking about what you really want to do in 2026. What do we want to get rid of? What do we want to hang on to? And all that good stuff. So
Yeah. I would love for everyone to just say yes in the chat if you are currently working to decide something. There's something on your radar in your sphere where you're like, I haven't quite decided. I'm not a yes, I'm not a no. And that's what kind of drew you to this conversation. You don't have to say what it is, but just let us know in the chat because I think we can all, I mean, me for sure, I've definitely experienced yeah, there's a lot. I tend to be very decisive, but I also know there's some things where I need to find some calm to really like make sure I have the right answer. So we're super excited to have you here. So I meet with a lot of entrepreneurs. As you know, the founder of Interview Connections, my primary focus is in sales and marketing. I do anywhere from 60 to 100 calls every month with entrepreneurs who are thinking about getting on podcasts. And um, much to your surprise, haha, being sarcastic, most people face some indecision after, in that process. They got to the call because they really want to do it, but then there's this period of like, I just haven't quite decided. And, for those that are open and transparent with me, the questions that kind of come up for them are like, Is it going to work? Is this right for me? Am I even going to like doing this? Am I going to get burned by the last, like, just like the last time? Like, that happens all the time. People get burned by someone else. And so then they don't want to make another investment because they don't want to get hurt again. So, Karen, tell us, what is the pause method? Because I would love nothing more than to help people get out of that like energy draining period of not being able to make a decision.
Yeah. So the pause method is just a 5 step. Um, it's a 5 step part basically that just allows you to take a moment to really look at the patterns in your life that are keeping you stuck, and then actually accepting what is. So if you notice the thought, if you take a thought and you notice something that's not working for you, like you notice it and you go back in time and go, okay, so where is that coming from? Because typically it's coming from your past, right? That keeps you stuck. So for me, I had this message in my head that I didn't matter, right? And so it really was keeping me stuck from having everything that I ever wanted. And so I'm like, well, where in the world did that come from, right? And so just to acknowledge that, okay, so I know where that came from, right? It came from being full a house full of kids, and like thinking that, I just didn't matter because there was no room for me. And that those words and that story I put together with that, I took that in my adult life. And so I really isolated myself in lots of different things. I isolated myself at home. I didn't have a big community, in my life. And so I wanted to be able to accept what is without judgment or an opinion about it, but just go, that's what that was. And if I go back in time, I really can find that evidence to keep me stuck even further. But then actually to be able to acknowledge it and then unwind what actually is not truth and what's a lie, because we pull that stuff forward. It's like, people that have anxiety, it's like they have anxiety of that they're not going to be okay in the future, right? When we really don't know what's going to happen in the future. So really you're just bringing things from the past and you're reverse engineering it, thinking like, oh, well, let me take that and I'm going to slap that imagination thing on it, the same thing's going to happen, but we really don't know what's going to happen in the future. So really unwinding that and releasing that story that it's not true today, and then we can actually shift that narrative and come up with a new truth and then actually live from that alignment of what we really really want. And so it's really acknowledging where you're stuck, acknowledging what's keeping you stuck, and then rewriting the new story to move forward. So
Yeah.
that's because fear doesn't really belong in the future. I mean, if we had no history, we'd have no fear.
Right.
So we're just like
Yeah.
grabbing it and bringing it forward. And so what want to have people practice is like, I'm waking up today. First of all, what is your morning routine to keep you grounded and to keep that frequency and vibration going in your day?
Mhm.
And then what is something that comes into your mind and go, whew, what is that? Let me just acknowledge that. Is that in alignment with where I'm going? Which
Mhm.
also could be a no or a yes when people ask you to do so much. Like, is that in alignment with my design, my family, my career, my money, my self care? And if the answer is no, then like you can politely say no. So it's
Mhm.
also teaching people how to say no in different situations.
Yeah. I want to read this comment because we definitely want this to be a conversation. So Gina said, love the conversation. I'm not stuck, just looking to flesh out podcast biz model. I had a great call with your podcast team, was told that I may not be the right fit because your company doesn't offer demographic. Yeah, specific guidance. I'm looking to grow local community. Okay, cool. Great topic today. Yeah. And I think also that points to just like having all of the information. How does that come into it? Like just getting all of the information. Cause sometimes we're stuck on a decision because there's just like something in our blind spot or something that we don't know. What are your thoughts there, Karen?
Well, what I would say is before saying yes to an opportunity, a partnership, a goal, or whatever it is, there's 3 questions you can actually ask yourself: is it, does this align with my values?
I love
And
that.
then you really have to look at what are your values, right? And then does it align with my vision? So once you understand your values, then you can go, does it align with the vision that I want for 2026? And then also, does it align with the energy? Does it align with
Yeah.
my energy right now or the frequency where I want to be in? Okay, because if you really like ground yourself and keep that frequency going, I mean, everybody knows like when you're in it, when you got it and you're in it, you can feel it. Everything's just whoof, right? Like when
Mhm.
I'm home for too long in isolation because I work here in North Carolina, and I leave every month to go back to California for 6 weeks because that's where, it's different energy. I have this energy here. I'm by myself, right? Then I go to California and I'm like, oh, people, 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 and family. And I'm always just go, 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 go. And I love that energy. But then I know myself that I have to take a step back also and like go, okay, reprieve for a little while. You know,
Mhm.
let's just chill out for a little while, and then tomorrow I can start up again. So I'm really key on my schedule, on like what I need for me and
Yeah.
the frequency I want to be in every day for what is like coming ahead. So
Yeah.
really it's with my values, align with my vision, and align with my energy.
I love that. Yeah, knowing what your values is huge. I've definitely used that in my life, especially as an entrepreneur. Like, what do I value? And does this align with my values? Does this align with my vision? Where do I want to go? And will this help me get there? I love that.
Yeah, because if your business strategy, doesn't expand your revenue and
Mhm.
it depletes your peace, right? It's not
Yeah.
growth. It's basically erosion, right?
Yeah.
Now, aligned growth really sustains the momentum, right? And
Mhm.
misaligned growth will drain it.
Yeah.
And you can feel that. And so, really, to
Yeah.
be in tune with what's going on with yourself, right?
Yeah, and I think there's also so much power in saying no. I think a lot of people are afraid to say no and decide against something
Yeah.
because of how other people will respond. Like this happened to me recently where um somebody asked me to do something. They wanted to have a call with me. They wanted to get my input on something and I sat with it. I paused. I got some stillness and I just decided it wasn't aligned with my energy with like my values with where I want to go and I said no and that person was really upset with me. To the point where I kind of think the relationship is over. It wasn't this huge, like meaningful relationship, but like, kind of like
Sometimes
an
that's okay.
acquaintance, like, an acquaintance in the business space. And I'm like, oh, okay, and that I think the fear of that, the fear of disappointing people, the fear of what other people are going to think or how other people can react, I think holds a lot of people back from actually making a decision that's best for themselves. Can you speak to that a little bit more, Karen?
Yeah, so when I hear you say that, I think back for myself where I just never thought I was enough. And so the actual strategy for that actually is people pleasing all the time,
Yes.
right? Like if you really come from that,
Mhm.
I'm not enough, right? Like it also can also bring on a lot of dis-ease, right? And like stress, and then you get sick a lot, right? So
Mhm.
that whole umbrella of the I'm not enough thing, and we all have it because we got it when we were younger, right? Of people just telling us what to do all the time, and like we had a thought and we thought it was a great thought even as a small child, and someone said no, and then you
Mhm.
push it aside. You never, it was really part of who you are, and then you just buried it, right?
Yeah.
So um, I just think that you know most leaders keep pushing forward without ever stopping to ask what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah.
I think that we don't take the time to really, like, even 10 minutes a day. I'm like, okay, so there were some tough things that happened today. What really worked, and what do I just need to
Mhm.
tweak a little bit, and what do I need to leave behind? And that includes
Yeah.
people, like you just found out with,
Yeah.
who you were talking about, right? To take
Yeah.
an inventory of like who in your life this year do you really just need to like let go because the season's over and they're not in
Mm.
a line with where you're going.
Right.
You got
Right.
that going on, right? And then
Yeah.
it's just really empowered decision making, is what I call it. Comes from really just self awareness of what's going on and just real data, right? So,
Yeah.
does that make sense?
Yeah, and I just love your focus around stillness because especially like as somebody, I don't know if anyone can relate to this, but I'm a doer. I'm very much a doer. I do thrive when I have a lot on my plate. I thrive when I have a lot of calls on my calendar, when there's a lot to do. And sometimes it can be more stressful to me when I don't know what to do and I do have that stillness. So like can you talk about like how does a doer, somebody that is a hard worker and all of us here I'm guessing
Oh
are
yeah,
hard
no,
workers. We have our own
me
business.
too.
You can't be a business owner and not be a hard worker, but sometimes it feels scary to be still because like if I don't do anything and I embrace this stillness then I'm not moving forward. So like how do you get to that point of feeling safe in this stillness?
Well, okay. So if we're talking about, I just did a podcast yesterday with somebody that was all about. I just took a moment just to stop for 30 minutes, and I literally didn't feel safe. I had to work through that.
Yeah.
Because what happens is we're busy, we're busy, and a lot of it is just the message that we bring forward. Some of it is performance based because you want,
Mhm.
you have this like, you want to please your parents or please somebody, right? And you just got to keep going on the hamster wheel. Some of
Mhm.
it's your person that you work for. You have metrics that you have to keep going, right? So I think as doer, because I'm a doer also, I like to be busy. But
Yeah.
I have had to learn to take moments in my day to really take care of myself. And so, I'll give you an example. I was dehydrated for like 10 years and I didn't even know it. I just thought that was part of me. I never really felt good. I didn't know what's going on until I got really, really sick and I had to drink a ton of water. And then all of a sudden I'm like, wow, I feel so much better, right? Now I have some vitality and I'm taking better care of myself. I got sick again and I got dehydrated again. And I knew instantly what that was. And I was like, I got to grab a bottle of water. But it's the same thing. We're so busy, 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 always being busy all the time that we don't know what it even looks like to just stop for a moment. I have some women
Mhm.
that I coach that are in corporate America, and literally I have challenged them to just go under their desk for 10 minutes and set a timer and just chill out with do
Yeah.
nothing for 10 minutes because what happens, nobody even knows they're in there. They think they're like gone. What
Yeah.
happens is there's some creative space that happens there when you do nothing. And we get
Yeah.
really clear on like, oh, okay, let me just take this situation. Let me just think about it for a moment. And you get really clear without being so busy. And so things really blossom on the other side when you actually just literally take 10 minutes for yourself instead of just go, 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 go.
It's
Right?
so true. It's so true. And Alex says, guess it helps that I go against people pleasing, but I tend to be a doer. Yeah, I mean, people pleasing is a stress response. It's a trauma response. It's the fawn response. And so there's, fight, flight, fawn, flop. There's all different types of responses.
Yeah.
So some people are going to be more people pleasing where they want to like make everyone else happy around them. And some people are just going to start fighting and getting really like that's how they
Right.
or they
Right.
just
But
leave. They just ghost. They're like, nope, I'm just not going to engage in this conversation. Yeah.
But
So,
if I ask that person if you just stop people pleasing for a day and see how that
mhm.
felt,
Yeah.
like, or just to say no to one thing.
Yes.
So, I mean, at the end of each week, I would say just pause to debrief your leadership and the strategy of the week, right? It's like
Mhm.
what decision this week felt really aligned with where I'm going. And first, you got to like literally go back to your values and design the next, what you're going to be doing
Yeah.
in 2026. And I would encourage everybody to do it every quarter and then look at it every monthly, right?
Yep.
So, and then it's like, what decision felt really forced? And you'll feel
Yeah.
it when it's not in alignment with you. You're like, oh, I so want to say no, but something's
Mm.
telling me to say yes. And then you go back to go like, ask yourself the questions, right? It's like,
Mhm.
is this aligned with where I'm going? Or if I say no, will it open up other opportunities? So I think that we get so busy that we miss so many opportunities. And I know I've done that in my career and in my personal life. It's a different color glasses when you just stop for a moment and see the world. It's like,
Mhm.
I know some people can relate to like being in a lot of physical pain. Like, 15 years ago, I had some physical pain going on. And I remember one day when the physical pain was gone and I went across the San Mateo Bridge in California. And all of a sudden, like the blue water was bluer. The sky, everything was brighter because I no longer was in pain.
Yeah.
But I would have never known that until I wasn't in pain anymore.
Yeah. That's incredible. So
It's
Gina
just,
asks us if is there a checklist or a takeaway sheet to help? So we're not finished this conversation, but Karen, for those who are just like, I need the pause method, like how
yeah.
can they connect with you if they want more like visual or like
Well,
deeper
first of all, they
support?
can definitely go to my website, KarenBartholomew.com.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a course that we're starting on Saturday, basically for it's 5 weeks, every other week for an hour on a Saturday, that you can actually sign up for that. I'm also giving a free hour of coaching at the end of that session for whoever comes to it. So I would go to my website. Everything is there. It'll give you like a breakdown, a little bit more information about the pause. And you can sign up for the course if you want. You can like DM me, go to my Instagram. Reach out to me. I'll give my phone number at the end here. People can reach out to me as well. Um, and it,
Perfect. Yes. I just
yeah,
put the
yeah,
website and your
yep,
Instagram in the
yep.
chat so everyone can connect. But let's Let's keep it going. I want to talk to you about the fear, overcoming the fear of failure. So we've kind of talked about like having stillness and making these decisions and like really aligning with your values and your energy and your vision and where you want to go. I've also observed in talking to, the thousands of entrepreneurs that I've consulted with, around podcast guesting and business growth over the last decade plus is that a lot of people fear that if even if somebody like something feels aligned, it aligns with their values, their vision, their energy, and they say yes, but like what if it just doesn't work? What if they're going to fail? They're going to lose all the money that they invested. Everything's comes crashing down. Like how do you overcome that failure? Because truly nothing is guaranteed in life. Like you just never know what's going to happen. So, yeah, talk a little bit about that.
So, oh gosh, I've had lots of failure in my in my life, and I'm in my 60s, so like it's been a lot. Marriages, a couple marriages, entrepreneurship starting out, like taking the step to actually have my own business in coaching. Like, oh my gosh, that's like big. Where am I going to find these clients, right? Like, and then losing, and then people take pauses from coaching also, and then they end up coming back, but they take pauses, and then you're like, oh, I failed, right? So all that stuff is in your head. But what I'll tell you is, when I look at all the successful entrepreneurs and the successful people in the world, they all failed so many times. I mean, how many times did Thomas Edison fail? Like thousands and thousands and thousands before, like, everything worked, right? So failure is just a lesson. It's just a life lesson. And failure actually is amazing the way I look at it, because you can pivot. Like if I failed at that, then okay, let me just look at that and go, what worked and what didn't work, and where can I just pivot a little bit, right? And then get back in it and bring something new. So when I first started coaching, I was doing a lot of goal coaching. And then I decided that I wanted to level up, because I was dealing with people's messages from their childhood bringing forward, right, into fear. And so then I ended up leveling up my coaching to go, okay, let's talk about the constraints where we're really constrained. Like a lot of women have that I'm not safe, right? And where did that come from? Right? And level up where we can really like break free from that constraint. So we're not living today in our current world being unsafe. Because you look back at people that, have a lot of drama, and I had trauma too, where I didn't feel safe. But like, if I look back there and I look at it, I have all kinds of evidence why I wasn't, right? But like, that was when I was between 8 and 11.
Mm.
And like, if I come today and go, well, is it true that I'm not safe? Well, the truth is, no, it's not true. I am safe. I have a safe neighborhood, a safe house. My kids are wonderful. I have a safe friends. Like, my world is safe. I mean, there are some things you don't want to walk around as a woman at night by yourself, obviously, in certain areas. I mean, the normal stuff. But the truth is, I am safe. And so, if
Mhm.
I was to live from that space every day, how would I show up in the world? How would I
Yeah.
go about my day? Very different than always looking
Yeah.
behind my back or isolating myself to the house, right? And so, you know, uh, I always, talk about everybody has a personal genie in them, and we have to be really careful about the language and what we say and what we, how we're feeling and stuff, and reverse engineer things if you have to, because all that stuff is what you're attracting. And so, if it's not the outcome you want, then we need to go, well, what is the outcome I want, and what kind of, thoughts and feelings and behaviors. And sometimes we got to trick ourselves and go, okay, I want you to walk around. I have challenged people before. I want you to walk around with somebody you really admire. Just pretend to be them for a day and see how that feels
Yeah.
for a day, right? Just put them on, just walk right into them and zip yourself up and just walk around like that for a day, right? Um, you know, and if people are stuck in different areas, you challenge them to go out and do something for the week, and so they can get to the other side, right?
Mhm.
So I remember a long time ago, it was in 2010, somebody challenged me, a coach that I had, challenged me to go out with a sign that said free hugs in front of Walmart in my hometown. And I was dressed in heels and everything, right? Because right from work. And I get
Wow.
to Walmart and I have my free sign, and I don't even want to get out of my car because I'm so like, oh my God, how can I do this? What if anybody sees me doing this from work? I mean, I had tons of clients in town. And so I get out and I stand there, and there's a mission guy, a homeless mission guy right next to me, right? So we're both out in front of Walmart. And I don't know why I'm doing this. I just said yes to it. And then, you opt in and you just got to do it. And it was for an hour. And so I sat there. And so what happens is I put my sign up, and there were people that looked at me like I was crazy and they walked right by. But there was a couple people that came up and gave me a hug and then wanted another one when they came out. And there was a woman that came up who had just lost her son and needed a hug and cried. And so what I realized, the exercise was to see how I showed up and how available I was to the world.
Wow.
It was incredible, and I could have done it for hours longer.
That's crazy.
So it's
Wow.
just that little thing that somebody challenged me to do that just opened up a whole realm of opportunities for me. Right.
Yeah.
So coaching is so incredible. If you can have a mentor or someone holding you accountable or somebody challenging you to get past the places that you no longer want to be. Right.
Mhm.
And I wish I
Yeah.
would have had a mentor when I was 16, 17, 18, Yeah, so
Yeah.
it would have been, life would have been a little bit different. However, I wouldn't have been ready for it because, as we always say, the student shows up when they're ready.
Very true. Yeah, I've learned that the hard way. You can't really force somebody else to get
Yeah,
coaching. They kind
yeah,
of have to want to
yeah,
do it.
yeah. It's just like when I came to you, right? I mean, like I was
Yeah.
ready.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and I really like what you're saying about deciding. I actually just saw, like, a little video on Instagram of Alex Hormozy saying, like, "You're gonna get
Mm,
there faster if you just make a decision, and if you fail and it doesn't work and you pivot, you'll get there faster than if you were to belabor it and, like, think about it and try to, like, make the perfect move." Just I like the expression, "There are wins and there are learns." So if something doesn't work out, what are you gonna learn from it? We learn so much more from the things that
yeah,
don't work out. Like, the things that work out, great, awesome, perfect. I
yeah,
thought it would work out, that's why I did it, and yay, it did. But the things
right.
that don't work out, it's like, "Okay, like, how am I gonna grow from this? What am I gonna learn from this?"
Yeah. I mean, I put on retreats for women, small retreats, private, 20 people. And I get more growth. I feel like I get more growth from that retreat, putting that retreat on, than they do. I mean, I know they get a
Yeah.
lot. But like even
Yeah.
when we start with our breath work, on Saturday mornings, like that hour and a half of breath work, and then I always go first with vulnerability because I want to like say what I got out of it, and just sharing a traumatic story again it opens up for all the women to share. And that's when we
Mhm.
really get to break free from the constraints, right? It's like all of a sudden, I'm sharing something where I wasn't safe, and someone goes, "Yeah, I have that too," because co-learning happens, right? So even
Yeah.
like on here, we're talking about all this. Somebody's getting something, and somebody else, is going, "Wow, yeah, I get that," you know. And so
Yeah.
co-learning's happening all the time. It doesn't have to be one person, everybody asking a question, because we're human beings and we kind of all relate the
Mhm.
same.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about mindset because, like, after you make a decision, you get aligned, you find the stillness, you get aligned with your values and your vision and your energy. Your life can change. Like, I've experienced it. I'm experiencing it now. When you do make powerful decisions, a lot can open up, especially energetically. And I see that in my clients too. I've seen so many clients over the years who make this decision, they take this leap, they start getting on podcasts, they get more visible, they reach more clients, they're getting speaking opportunities, like all this stuff opens up. So, what are some of the mindset shifts that people can make to really not ensure because we know nothing's guaranteed, but really invite more results and success after a decision is made from a powerful place?
Well, for me, I can speak for myself, and some of the people that I've coached, but I think it's the mindset of serving, of
Mhm.
servanthood.
Yeah.
Like even when you get out on stage, if you're really scared to get on a stage, then all of a sudden you're making it about yourself versus about the person that's there that needs to hear your message, right? And it might only be one person. So I'm always, talking to one person, right?
Yeah.
Um, I I think it's all about servanthood. I really do. When I think about the leaders that I have worked for that are all coming from an authoritarian standpoint, and like, it's keeping you really small, to be honest with you. Like I
Yeah.
see that where because they need to have so much control, right? That they keep their people small. When I'm like, I know you so well that you should be way over here. And like,
Mhm.
why not? Right? Well, because you're under this thing, you're not willing to get out of it, like to actually grow and expand. Like you've got either got too comfortable, or you're working on some, some big constraints that that person's keeping you there, right? So it's interesting when you have somebody helping you, holding you accountable, like that can see where you can go, right? And like it's like trust the process that you're just gonna
Mhm.
get there, right?
Yeah. Gina said, great question. Has podcasting increased your ROI or is this a community service? Well, you spoke recently to my community about your ROI from podcast guesting. So, as somebody who has worked with us and gotten over 30 podcasts, can you just tell everyone what has happened in your life and business from making a decision to get on podcasts?
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. So what I brought up on that podcast of yours, your masterclass, was
Mhm.
that it's been really great to be able to ask permission to actually coach people, actually the hosts.
Yeah.
It's been amazing. And so, and what's happened is there's been collaborations from that. And so, yes, the ROI is definitely there. You will get it back. It takes a little bit of time because those podcasts don't go live right away. Some of them are 3 months out, 4 months out. I always put them on my website in the media section when they come out, when they go live. But what I'll say is like that coaching is actually, then I end up actually having coaching client. The host becomes a coaching client,
Yeah.
right? And so, and I always ask permission. Permission is huge, and we can talk about that word a little bit. But what I
Mhm.
also say is actually, I just did a virtual summit yesterday with 7 other podcast hosts that were guests that were on her over time, and we just did a virtual summit. And what I did was I spoke on ease, and that what disease and what ease is. It was all about ease, right? And so I talked about the opposite, and so there's so much opportunity out there. You just and what I would also say is you just have to ask for it. If we don't
Mhm.
ask for it, like, nothing happens. And if you just ask for this little bit because you think that, well, I'm just going to ask for this, I'm not going to ask for this. No, ask for this. And all they
Yes.
can do is say no, right?
That's okay. So I love that you talked about that. So when Karen's talking about like asking the coach, that's asking the host. It's like in the interview, it's a great opportunity to actually kind of turn the
Yes.
conversation back on the host and kind of use them as like a guinea pig, in the
Pretty
conversation
much.
and
Yep.
coach them. And then when they get that taste of it, they're more likely after the interview to say, I want to work with you. And I really love what you're saying about asking. This is something that I try to educate my clients on as much as possible is that like if you want something, make sure people know that you want that. It's one thing to hire us to get you on podcasts, but a lot of our clients want to be speakers. And I was talking with one of our clients and he's like, I haven't gotten any speaking opportunities. And so of course, if you get on the right podcast, hopefully people hear you and say, "Oh my God, you're so amazing. I want you to speak." But I said, are you telling every single
Mm,
podcast host that we book you with, "Hey, by the way, I'm a speaker and I am open for more speaking opportunities. If you know anyone looking for a speaker, please keep my name in mind." Tell every single host that. Don't
yeah.
assume that they know that you want that because some speakers aren't booked. They're booked and busy.
Oh,
They're not looking.
yeah, they
And
won't.
so don't assume people know what you want. Always ask for it because podcast guesting gets you in the right conversation with people that have doors, but you got to kind of ask for those doors to be open sometimes.
Well, you really do. You have to. And so, what I would
Yeah.
encourage you to do is actually look for the people that you want to interact with, and then interact with them on social media first. So, I have a list of people that I definitely want to be, go to their conference, meet them, whatever. And so, I'm actually like DMing them, and so
Mhm.
there's like always like 10 people. And then yesterday with the summit that I was on, there was someone who's in Maui, and she's a I think she's health and fitness. She talked about a lot of different things, but there was something I'm like, okay, well, we can collab. And she's a speaker. And I'm like, and I want to come to Maui. And so it's like, let's come to Maui and collab and do something together, right? Then I went down to Capitola. Last time I was in California, I drove to Capitola with a big influencer there, and I just started DMing her. And I said, "Hey, listen, I'm going to be in the area. Where are you? Where are you?" And she said, "I'm Capitola." I'm like, "That's an hour from me. Let me just come down." We spent an hour and a half together, right? And we
Wow.
talked about doing a collab. So you gotta proactively reach out to these people, and all they can do is say no or say it's not the right time.
Yeah.
But if you don't ask, you don't know,
I love it.
right?
I also love what you're saying about serving. That is so I totally agree with that. Being of service is huge. Also, what I, tell my clients is our clients who have seen the best results, seen the highest ROI from podcast guesting, they all went into it knowing it was going to work for them.
Yeah.
It's
Very
just a matter of
intentional.
time. They're like,
Yeah.
yeah, of
Very,
course this
very
is going to work.
intentional.
Maybe
Yeah.
I'll get clients tomorrow. Maybe I'll get it in 2 years, but it's going to work. You know, just that assumption, that is the mindset of success. If you're like, I don't know if this is going to work, we'll see, you're kind of like gambling with the universe a little bit. But if you're just like, yeah, of course it's going to work. Because either I get my ROI or I learn why it didn't work. And that learning is what gets me into the thing that gets me an even bigger ROI. So it's like that mindset of looking at everything with just like abundance, abundance of lessons, abundance of money. I think that's really the mindset that is key here.
Well, and you say the word abundance, and everybody has a different vision of what that is. And what I would say is, um, everything is the way it is today because it can't be any different because you are who you are today, right?
Hmm.
But tomorrow's a new day, right? So your bank account is what it is, your business is what it is, and all these things. But you can actually redesign everything, and start coming from a different mindset moving forward. And
Yeah.
so, and sometimes it takes working with somebody, right?
Hmm.
But like, if you like, just going back to if you don't ask, you're never gonna know. Like, if you don't get uncomfortable, right, in your uncomfortableness, and
Hmm.
get out of your house, we're so comfortable since COVID just to be home, right, and just like isolate. And for those people that think they're not enough, or those people that don't think they're safe, that's the strategy. Like, this has worked really well for you, and I'm going to encourage you to bust out of that.
Yeah.
Go get a little uncomfortable because what is on the other side of uncomfortables is so huge for you. It's literally that different lens of being in pain and not being in pain anymore. And there's so much opportunity out there that we are not seeing
Hmm.
because we're
Wow.
just kind of we're isolated in that space, right?
Yeah.
Or to be able to like think that you're not going to be okay. There's that part too, that you're just not going to be okay, like, or that you don't belong. All these things that we tell ourselves that are just made up of words and stories, and our imagination is so big, right? You can change that story at any time. It's
Yeah.
just a story.
It's just a story. Oh, amazing. Does anyone here have questions or would like a little hot seat with Karen on the pause method? Feel free to raise your hand if you would like to ask a question or just get a little live coaching. No pressure. I know we're talking about
No
some
pressure.
emotional stuff if you don't want to be on the hot seat.
That's all right. They can
Um,
reach out to me. Like, I'll give
yeah.
them a phone number and they can call me directly. It's totally
Perfect.
fine.
Why don't you share that, Karen? Let's wrap up with how people oh,
Okay.
Alex said, can we get a refresher on what the abbreviation stands for? Okay, yeah, let's get a refresher on the pause method. And
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
that sounds
Yes. Yes.
perfect.
Let me give you the refresher. Okay. So the first one is perceive. Okay. So perceiving basically means just an awareness. You want to be able to, like, an awareness of what's happening to you right now. What are my thoughts? Where is that coming from? Some people, I have them do a timeline, basically, like, go back as far as you can with a piece of paper and some markers, and just remember everything that's ever happened in your life, with no judgment or no opinion, right? Just like anything that's happened. And when you do that, now we can look at it and go, okay, for me, it was like everything happens every 7 years, right? Something bad happens every 7 years. That was my thing. And so when I look back at it, I'm like, wow, I can see how that all happened, right? So it's really just a perception of like, what are you thinking? Where did it come from? Okay. And then the next thing is really to like accept it, like, on like that's what happened. Okay, not from a victim standpoint, but just from a responsibility standpoint, right? That's what happened, blah 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 blah. And then we're gonna like untangle and wind it, like, okay, so that happened to me, and the reason why I don't feel safe is because I had an alcoholic dad or something, and when he came home I knew I had to hide, or I had to protect my mom, or whatever it's going to be, and I'm only using this as one example, right? But like, okay, but that was then, right? And so we can rewrite that. We can shift our thinking and rewrite that narrative, because that was when you were younger. That's not today, right? And then that's why I'm saying, and how you show up is very different. When you know that you're coming from, you're worthy, right? And you're safe and you have harmony and unity and vitality and all these things, right? So it's really getting rid of those messages that I'm bad or I'm not going to be okay or I'm in danger, right? Or I'm not good enough. So when we really break those messages, those constraints that we've been carrying all along, we can really break free from those and then start living a different kind of life, okay? And then the last part is just like in practicing it, practicing that new narrative every single day, like owning it as if you're already there, right? I am safe. Okay, if I'm safe today, what can I do? I'm going to go outside and I'm going to go, kayaking, whatever it's going to be
Mhm.
for you, right? So, yeah, and you can find that all on my website as well, but it's really just looking at the patterns, right? Like accepting what was, but also knowing that if you bring that forward, it's really a lie because
Mhm.
it's not truth today. So it's really taking what's not a truth, what's true today and what's not. And let's leave that those words and those stories. So I can give you a perfect example. When I was 12, I come from a house of, I have a brother who's 15 months older, a brother who's 15 months younger than me, and I have a sister who's 6 years younger and another one who's 12 years younger. And uh, so when the 12-year-old, when my mom came and told us that she was pregnant with, and I was 12, I ran to the bathroom and locked myself in the bathroom. And I cried and I didn't want to come out because in my brain there wasn't enough love already for me because of all these children, and now really there wasn't going to be enough love. And so I decided, the story in my head was I wasn't loved, I wasn't seen, I wasn't heard, and I didn't matter. Now that's not true. That's, as a 12-year-old, that's what I decided, and I created that story. And quite fast forward to my adult life, I took those stories and brought them into my adult life. And so if I feel like I'm not seen, I'm not heard, I'm isolating myself, which is actually what I did when I had my kids. I moved away from everybody. And then I raised these three kids as a single mom by myself, which, was hard, but successful. And if I don't think that I matter, then I'm not gonna, when I know the answer or I can pull myself and be a leader, right? I'm not going to, I'm standing in the back of the class going, I know that answer, but I'm going to stay back here just so certain things that I do, or attract the wrong person because I don't feel loved. So now I'm going to attract somebody to make me right, that I'm not loved. I'm going to attract that person, right? Which of course didn't work out. So I'm continuing, you know, when I'm resist, what you resist, you persist, right? So it just keeps going. And finally I'm like, I am so sick of me and so sick of this that I'm going to figure out what's going on. I'm going to take myself on this crazy journey to figure out what's happening, how I play life. And I did. I'm like, oh, like people will call me and I'm like, what are you doing back here, Karen, if you have the answer? Why aren't you out there leading it? Right. And so I had to really take a look at that. And so then I started like taking risks. I started getting uncomfortable. I started telling people how I like to be loved. And so, and little by little, life changed for me, little
Mhm.
by little by little. But it took a lot of pauses, right? To go, okay, let me pause. Let me take this class. I'm going to do this for me, right? Instead of staying on the hamster wheel, I'm going to take a couple days out just for me to invest in me, right? And so investing in yourself is huge. And really taking the time to recreate 2026, design 2026, what's going to work for you, what outcomes do you want, and reverse engineer it so you actually, your thoughts and your feelings and your behaviors and your outcomes. But it
Awesome.
all starts with your mind.
I
What
love it.
what you're thinking.
So Karen's website is in the chat, and it sounds like Alex has some more questions. I would encourage Alex to connect with you directly so you guys could have a conversation.
Oh yes, 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 yes.
So do you wanted to give your phone number? How can people
Yes, let me put it in the
connect?
chat.
All right, perfect.
And let me put the web. Did you already put the website
I
in?
put the website as you type your number. I will say if you are not already getting on podcasts. I know some folks said that, we talked to them, you're more local business, but if you are working to build your brand and get on more podcasts and really become a thought leader and kind of create the results that Karen has talked about with like more collaborations and more clients, you can book a consultation call at interviewconnections.com/call. And then connect with Karen, who is putting her information in the chat, KarenBartholomew.com. Her phone number is 925 998 1360. Reach out to her. She's on Instagram as well. And she's got a program starting this weekend. So I recommend you dive right in if you were really resonating with this conversation. I honestly just don't
How
know.
to do pod.
Well, yeah, go to if you're Alex, I don't know if you're on our email list, but if you go to interviewconnections.com slash live masterclass, we have a masterclass coming up in December where we'll teach you this strategy. At our website, too, you can also find our podcast where we talk all about podcast guesting and how that works.
And then
Any questions? Yeah.
somebody asked about the things again. So let me just walk through them one more
Mhm.
time. I'm
Okay,
just going to really
perfect.
quickly go through this. So perceive, notice the thoughts that you're having, okay, without any judgment. It's just awareness. Acknowledge, like just acknowledge what you're feeling. If you're feeling pressure, or you're feeling, the fear of letting people down or whatever that is, right? Unwind. Where did this story begin? Okay. Then shift, which is a new truth, a new narrative, okay? And then embody basically is just the practice, the daily practice every day.
Oh, Alex is so sweet. Jessica's very charismatic. Karen is very brave. All right, Karen, we're quite the dream team
Great.
here. Thank you so much. Does anyone have
Thank
any
you. Thank you.
questions that
Thank
you want
you.
to ask before we wrap up? All right, awesome. Well, thank you all so much for being here live. It was so nice to see you. If you just joined, I'll send out the recording.
Yeah.
Sorry. But it's so good to see you. I hope everyone has a wonderful holiday season and we'll talk to y'all soon.
Bye bye.
Bye.